Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. Gonna do a quick little video here tonight. Kind of some answers to some questions that came up on the last two videos. As you can see, we have the little day cab, the little 352 Peterbilt we're working on here. And just to kind of give you an update on where we're at with that seam. You can see everything's filled. Real nice. Put that in a coat of primer and we should be good to go with the top of this, and then I can start on the rivet detail. I've already done a test run across it as far as the rivets. That's another thing I was asked about, and you can see it right back here in the back. That's the test rivets I done on the roof, just to see if it was going to work out. Looks pretty good, so I think we're going to go with it, and I'll do a video on how I go about doing that and laying everything out. Another question that came up was, do I still use the Napa primer, the gray and the red? Yes, I do. It is quite expensive now. It jumped here where I'm at in Virginia. It used to be $3.99 a can, which I would go in and buy, 12 cans at a time sometimes, and it wasn't too bad. But now it has jumped up. I think it's $8.99 a can. So it's getting quite expensive, but it does work. I like it, and I will still use it. I haven't been doing a lot of modeling, so I haven't had a reason to buy any here lately. But yes, I do still use the Napa primer. I was asked if this could be done with the Napa primer as far as this seam. You could keep building that up, spray the whole thing, sand it down, do another coat. That's what I like about the Mr. Surfacer that we did the video on. It fills us in pretty quick, and you're not building up a lot of primer everywhere else. So that's why I'm using that product now. And then when I get it close like this, I will shoot it with the Napa primer and do the final work from there. Another thing I wanted to show is this is the seam where we put everything back together. You can see the seam here on the top of the cab and right here. This is a door jamb piece here that has not been trimmed down yet. This door jamb piece has been trimmed down, and you will notice that it's black, and I do that before I do the final trim on this piece. I will take a Sharpie and color that in, and it kind of gives me a nice guideline to be able to judge how straight this is, because this is a finished product here when you're done. And the doors are open, this is going to be displayed. So another thing that this door jamb does is it also is a full backer panel inside of the cab. You can see it right here. This is all one piece that goes all the way to the back of the cab, and it's also the door jamb. So I put it in a little long like this here. You can see it sticking well over the edge, and when I'm done with it, it ends up like that. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on. Another thing is going back to this seam on the roof. If you flip this cab over now, you will notice that there is no seam underneath of the roof. Now what I did is in this one, I put in a 10/1000 piece of plastic that is cut the shape of the roof on the inside, and that does two things. It will cover up any flaws. If you've got an injector pin mark that's recessed or something like that, and you don't have a whole bunch of detail in the roof, in kit form, you can put this piece of plastic in there, and it will give you a nice start, a nice clean surface to start from to add detail to. It will cover up flaws, and the other thing that I do it for is it's also a gusset for the seam. So instead of relying on this seam just sticking together the thickness of the plastic, you have this bridge going all the way across on the inside. And I don't put a lot of glue on that. I just put a little bit, maybe in the corners, and a couple dots right along the front and the back of the seam, and then put this in place. The thicker the plastic that you go, you can use a little bit more glue on it. This 10,000ths, you have to be careful because it will melt and get all wavy and stuff, and then you kind of defeated your purpose. So hopefully that answers the questions on that. And I haven't done anything else to this lately, but I'll probably sit down here, you know, a couple days out of the week or whatever, and we'll do a few videos on different parts of it. I do have the, like I say, I got the frame rails. I want to do a quick tutorial on them. This frame rail here is already prepped and ready to go, and this frame rail hasn't been touched yet, so we'll do a video on, you know, how I go about doing the frame rails and getting them prepped, and where I'm halfway happy with them. Another question that came up, which was a real good question, and this goes out to the guys that don't have a lot of experience with this or have never cut the doors out of something. You have to be careful on what kits you're cutting the doors out of. This is an AMT kit, and they are famous for this interior tub. If this was an Italeri kit, like, you know, the Ford 9000s, the Peterbilt 378, the, you know, Western Star, stuff like that, they're multi-piece cabs, and they also have pretty much a floor assembly that slides up in and takes up the whole distance inside of your cab, and they're much easier to cut the doors out of, the Italeri kits, because of the multi-piece cab. And then all you have to do is maybe some work down here at the bottom, you know, add your jams in, and do a little bit of work where the dash comes over and connects to the side. Sometimes you have to fill there where you can see that. But on the AMT stuff, they use this one-piece tub, and it has a few issues when it comes to cutting the doors out. The first issue is, you can see this taper right here, and this thing tapers down so that this edge right here will set against the inside of the cab, and the bottom doesn't. Which that's, you know, not very accurate to begin with, because this floor in the cab goes all the way across, you know, with the doghouse and everything in here. So the way that I get around this on the AMT kits, and, you know, not all of them are going to be the same, but it's, a lot of the steps are going to be the same, but some kits are going to require a little bit more or a little bit less effort on your part. This particular interior bucket, as you can see, has the big giant injector pin marks in it, and the problem with that is they went and cast in a very nice ribbed rubber floor mat style detail in here, but they put a giant injector pin mark on top of it. So the only way to get rid of that injector pin mark is to get rid of the detail, and then you've got to put it back in there. These are raised back here in the sleeper area, plus they would be under the bunk. So if you had a, you know, floor panel that came all the way down, these would be hidden. You wouldn't have to worry about it. But I will do a video on how I keep the dash mounting point and the fire, or the dog box, and how I modify it from there to fit inside of a cab with the doors cut open. And what that's going to basically come down to is you have to cut away this piece, this back piece, this piece over here, and in the case of this particular cab, I'll be cutting all of the lower floor out of it, because remember, it's not wide enough at the bottom. It needs to be, you know, out here to fit within the cab. So we're just going to keep the dog box, keep this dash mounting point, and these parts right here where the instrument cluster goes into place. We're going to keep that, get rid of everything else. And then plus we have to shorten this, because as you can see, the new cab, the interior tub sticks out a little bit. So we'll show you how to go about doing all that. But hopefully it answers some of the questions that came up on the last couple of videos, and gives you an idea of where this tutorial series is going. So if you have any more questions, leave me a comment on the video. I'll be more than glad to touch on them in the upcoming videos. So that's all we got for tonight. This is Hunter from Showtime Studios. I thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.